Arrow is undoubtedly one of my favourite shows on TV ever. Season 1 starts as a very dark and gritty show with fantastic action. Seriously, the guy who came up with those fight sequences needs to take a bow. We see Oliver take down multiple henchmen in seconds with relative ease, cementing him as a complete badass. This show was unlike anything I'd ever seen before, pulling some influence from Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy and yet making it its own story and legacy, separating itself from other shows before it. The grounded, realistic tone allowed for greater connection to the characters like Oliver, Felicity or Laurel. This proved to be a hit and gained a massive fandom, even starting its own Arrowverse with such characters as The Flash and Supergirl as spin-off shows. So the basic premise of the show was that Oliver Queen was shipwrecked upon an island for 5 years, where he learnt to become a ruthless killer. He returns to his home and city, Starling City, with a mission to cross the names off a list his father gave him in a bid to right the wrongs his father and others had done. The start of the season is purely episodic, as we move around to a new name on the list and a new story. However, later in the season we understand that this book with the list plays a far greater role than initially thought, as Oliver unveils a plot to destroy half the city. The main villains in the show, the Dark Archer and Malcolm Merlyn, both played by John Barrowman, are exceptional, with the Dark Archer proving a real threat to Oliver, putting him within inches of his life, and even succeeding to some degree with his plan. Barrowman gives an incredible performance and we understand his motivation for what he does. Every now and again the acting is a bit off and the love triangle can be too much for a show that is supposed to be darker in tone, but the story keeps you invested as more unanswered questions are brought up each episode with an interesting addition of Oliver's backstory on the island through the use of flashbacks. We meet many faces, one of which being Slade Wilson, who is one of the most charismatic characters on the show, giving a great performance. There are many other cameos by characters from the comics such as Deadshot, the Huntress, Roy Harper, and each have their own story to bring to the show. Overall, Season 1 of Arrow was great, introducing the story brilliantly and having just the right amount of each character for us to feel the world is believable, using them well within the darker tone, whilst also using such characters as Felicity Smoke to lighten it up when needed.
I'll be with you the entire time.
Thanks. Feels really good having you inside me. And by you, I mean your voice. And by me, I mean my ear. I'm gonna stop talking right now.
After watching Season 1 for the first time, I was fully invested in what I hoped would be another great season of television. So I recently had the urge to rewatch all of the Arrow seasons. Yes, that means Season 4 also, as it was announced a few months back that the writers were preparing for Season 7 to be the last. Although it may not be, let's hope they find some way of keeping it alive and exciting. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.
Nobody can know my secret.